Welcome back to the Girl Power Alliance podcast. I'm so excited to introduce my guest to you today. Let me tell you a little bit about Nyota. Nyota is the adaptability coach and leadership strategist at Transition 365. She helps high achievers to conquer their hard-earned skills and to find significance, meaning, and purpose, become adaptive in their personal and professional lives. She is a United States Army retiree with over 22 years of active federal service. Thank you for your service. Her leadership and skills were developed and tested both during her combined and enlisted and commissioned service. With Nyota, you get to create a new life's mission that helps you to get rid of limiting beliefs and replace them with powerful certainties. You get to use your purpose and compelling vision backed up with bulletproof strategy to truly thrive on the other side of transitions. You not only become more adaptable, but create work that you love, that pays well, a personal life that is fulfilling, and a healthy body that gets excellent sleep at night. Who doesn't want that? Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me. Thank you so much.
I'm so happy to have you on here. Again, thank you for your service. And I find that anyone that I have been involved with, either personally or professionally, that has a background at all with military training, they're just the most disciplined people I've ever met. You guys really have learned skills that translate into business in such a beautiful way.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for noticing.
Well, I would love for you to share a little, I know I read your bio, but share maybe a little bit more with our listeners so they can get to know you a little bit, maybe on the personal level.
How I even found my way in this coaching space is because my transition wasn't that beautiful. We have amazing skills, amazing leadership skills and everything that we learn in the military. But what we don't learn about is the mindset of being a civilian and that click of bringing those leadership skills, our hard-earned skills, and our structure into civilian life. And so I had a hard time with that. And now, since I've figured out how to do it, I'm reaching back and learning that it's not just military people that struggle with their transitions or finding structure, that it's people, going from college to work. It's people going from single to being married, married to being divorced, having babies. So we all have these transitions, and I'm learning, that these skills are in all these different industries and at home.
Wow. What an awesome thing for you to be able to, nudge people along in the process. I feel like we're always in some sort of transition, aren't we?
Absolutely.
I feel like the shortest time in life is the time between transitions.
You better
not
say
transitioning.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's the breath before the next transition. Like that.
Right, it's true. It's like a constant. Well, that's what growth is, though, right? Like
absolutely,
just a constant growth. So, how you've accomplished so much. You have a very a successful path that you've gone on. Now you're helping other people on this path. What has your faith played a part in any of these? Either, but both your career for 22 years in the military, and now as you're transitioning into taking all these skills that you have and giving them to other people.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'll just start from home because that's where it starts. You know how people say that I had a praying grandmother? I had a praying grandmother, and I swear today, right now, I am still living on the prayers of my grandmother. She taught me how to pray, not just, how to pray, but she showed me what prayer looks like. She showed me what being a Christian looked like, that a Christian was loving and caring. And although she only made like this much money, she always had money. Like she had that bottomless barrel that she was a picture of open up the windows of heaven and pour out a blessing. Like that was my grandmother. And I swear, just having that foundation of what a good Christian woman is, not just looks like, but what a good Christian woman is, it inspired me to be that same woman.
Wow.
And just being able to know how to pray and knowing that God always had my back and my front and my side. I mean, I should have said that, like, part of that leadership and part of that, even making it through those 22 years of service and making it through today, especially now,
My goodness.
it's because of prayer and trust and believing in God and knowing that I'm not doing any of these things that I've accomplished or that I will accomplish for, through, and to people by myself. I know that. I know that to be true. And
Wow.
I hope and I pray that that goodness and that faith translates in my messages.
I'm certain that it does. I think it would be difficult for it not to do that. I mean, you're obviously an extraordinary woman, very authentic, and so when that's just part of who you are, it comes out in everything that you do. And so, did you? Okay, so here's the question. I always ask this of coaches because I don't think naturally people set out to be a coach, but usually what happens is like you just find yourself that you're helping people. It comes very natural. So how did you even start this business?
Like you said, people don't stay in the military or join the military unless they have a heart of service.
Yep.
And I have a heart of service. It's sometimes I would try to deny it. Forget it. I'm not helping, but I can't. I'm a helper. I'm a fixer. I want people to be the best version of themselves, and I want to help them do that. My sister would always tell me that I should have been a teacher.
Mhm.
And I was like, a teacher? And she was like, because you never make me feel like I'm stupid. You
Mm.
always help me. You're always helping other people. And so it's not just, and it's because teachers also have that same heart of service. And that's what it was. I just found that I was, the things that I learned, the skills that I've learned, the experiences that I had, I just naturally share them. I naturally can be like, oh, I that you know what, that happened to me, and I just naturally gravitated to the people that needed my help, and that's just how someone told me. One of my friend tours, she was like, you are a coach. And I was like, no, I'm not a coach. And she was like, no, you're not listening. You are a coach. And that's how I just started. I was like, well, what does that mean? And then I just kind of started digging into it. And it's like, I am a coach, I am a teacher, I am an educator, and I do come from a place of service. So
It's just natural for you.
it found me.
I mean,
Coaching found me.
I would venture to guess that if you look back, like when you were maybe even in like high school, you probably were always this way.
Oh, I was not sports girl. I was FBLA girl. I was student council girl. I was that
Leading,
person. Yeah.
leading
Yeah.
already.
Yes. And it's important.
It is important.
Mhm.
And I feel like when you have the ability to really discover who you are on the inside, the person that God made you to be, then it just feels like any hindrance or block to kind of that self-discovery is gone when you really find it. And once you found it, you can never go back to doing something that isn't in that space.
Nope. You can It's hard to go back to anything that isn't in alignment. And we know, whether you're a hardcore Christian, whatever that means to you, but God talks to us and he whispers to us. And if he can use the jawbone of a mule, he can use me. He can use your friends. He can use podcasts like
Yes.
yours. And he can use anything to talk to you and tell you and to remind you to stay on course, to get on path, and you know better. Get away from there. Get back over here.
Yeah.
That is not the job for you. Those are not the friends for you. don't read that, don't listen to that, listen to this person, they're telling you right, and listen to your heart, because that's where, that's where he speaks to us, and that's where he lives. So just knowing that and trusting that still small voice, just trusting and believing that God loves us and he's not going to steer us, he's not going to steer us off course.
Do you find that when you're coaching people that you use this type of vernacular when you're speaking to them, even if they're not a believer? Do you still, I mean, because and the reason I ask is because what I have found is for me earlier in my career,
Mm-hmm.
before I really started walking in a wholly who I was,
Mm-hmm.
I kind of filtered stuff about my faith out because I didn't want to, like, I don't know if they believe that way, or I didn't want to offend people. But once I stepped into it wholly, I can't not. It's like I can't not speak about things when I know that it's directly related to something that has to do with faith or their walk with the Lord or what the Lord's trying to say. Do you find that at all?
So, how I find myself at the beginning, I give disclaimers, right? I tell them you can use the word universe if you want, but I use God. I will say Jesus. I do cuss a little bit. I I
I've
pray
seen the perfect T-shirt for you. It says, "I love Jesus, but I cuss a little bit."
a little bit, just a little bit.
uh,
But I feel like I give those disclaimers. I will say Jesus, you know, because um I know my walk, and so I give those disclaimers at the beginning. And I say, if it's for you, if it's not prayer, then it's meditation. If it's for you, writing down what it is that you want and then just thinking on it and being grateful for what you have. So I break it down into what it means in personal development language,
yeah,
but hoping and praying that when they see how I show up, that they know it's something better than personal development.
that's awesome. And I was thinking the other day about this because I was writing some content and the word transformational. God like highlighted the word transformational. And we use it kind of haphazardly in different things. And I was thinking about it, as a leader, you're influencing people's lives, you're helping them to get on the path for them. And, but really our job, we're just like tour guides, kind of like we're just pointing people here or there or wherever, but really we don't create transformation. God is the only one that actually creates the transformation. And so I think sometimes it's important to know that.
Yes. Yeah, and I use this, and I think we had spoke about this at first. You know, I think people get so wrapped up in the religion of a
Mm.
thing,
Hmm. Hmm.
and they don't realize that religion is a vehicle to get you to God.
Yes.
And we get so wrapped up in the car or the truck or the person, and you think that that person is the transformation, but it's not. I'm just trying to show you, I'm just helping you get
Yeah.
to God. And if I have the best Vogues, the best wheels, the best tinted windows, and I look so shiny and pretty, but you still need to know that at points I could break down,
Yep.
and I am not the way at all. I am just the vehicle that is leading you to this God that has been so impactful and so transformational in my own life. And it is that God that can lift us up in times of trouble. And it is God that continues to lift us up when we are like thriving and shining. And, we don't have to just call on God when things are bad. Like, we continue to call on him and be grateful for what he does for us, and when times are wonderful, because, if he trusts us with a little, like, what is he going to do with a lot? And it's so awesome. And I just think if people just realize that it's not the vehicle that gets you to God, like, it's not, I mean, it's the vehicle, like, but I'm not the only vehicle. You might have to jump out of my car and get in your car, you might have to get out of your car and get in someone else's car, but knowing that we're just the Uber to get you to where you're going.
Oh, I love that. I
Yeah.
love that. Oh my goodness. Yes. yes, yes, and more. So, what's next for you? What do you have in the hopper? I mean, you're coaching people. Is that what you're doing full time? Do you have events when we can have events again? I mean, what do you have? What do you have in the hopper?
Right now, I'm really trying to condense down. So right now, I've been it, you know how you'd be like, no, that's not it. That's not what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yes.
Like, yes, you are supposed to, me, because, God talks to me how I talk. He's like, you, ma'am, are supposed to be helping people be leaders in their homes and
Mm,
letting them know that leadership starts at home, because if you can't lead yourself and you can't lead within your home, then it's going to be hard to go out into this world. It's going to be hard to go to work. It is going to be hard to lead your employees or properly be led, if you don't know how to lead in your home. And it's not just for people that have jobs, it's for those moms, it's for those dads, because now they're not just leaders at home, they're teachers, they're instructors, they're coaches, and there always have been that. But just to for people to know that you're not just a stay-at-home mom or a stay-at-home dad, or you're not just, and I hate that word,
I know,
just,
I do too.
just teaching your children how to, learn online. You are leaders in your home and you are leaders in your community, and that has really been on me. So I'm actually starting to do a few workshops, a few
Amazing.
intensives on, what that leadership looks like at home and how it just facilitates your entire lives around those daily transitions. So that's kind of what God has been telling me what's next. And
It's
I mean,
big. And I just want to speak into that and tell you, yes, I mean, that is so important because, there's been more books written on leadership than any other subject, like around the world. There's more, but there's no leadership. There's more talk about leaders and leadership, and there's no leaders. And
right.
it's very, very hard to actually find good, authentic, biblical, Christ led
Mhm.
leaders. And
Mhm.
so, what you're talking about is so important. And I just want to encourage you to do it, go all in on that. And yes, that is so needed in the world. And I have had I feel a similar call, not specifically in the home, but in
Mhm.
leadership in general. One of the
Okay.
things that God has weighed so heavily on my heart is the fact that it is our job as leaders to go out and empower and bring up to help develop more leaders,
Yes.
biblical, authentic, heart led leaders that aren't worried about analytics, how many likes, how many follows, none of that stuff. Doesn't matter. Like you're talking about, it always begins with you. And if you cannot lead yourself, it is impossible for you to lead even one. And I think the most important place is in the home. The most important. Like for people that are out there in the world and they're leadership experts, you know, I would hope that the most important job to them is who they're leading behind the four walls of their own home. So I'm so happy you're doing that.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And it's funny how it just comes like, you're like, oh, what should my tagline be? And you're like, that sounds good. And I was like, you want people to be powerful, adaptable, caring leaders. I was
Mm,
like, okay, thank you, God. I
huge.
received that. Thank you.
That's beautiful. And I am so happy that you're doing it. And I have a feeling that you and I are not the only ones that feel the call, because I believe it's a call upon the earth, that God is calling out the generals to build up an army. And it's kind of when I, launched Girl Power Alliance, that's the vision he gave me, that we are building an army of women who are literally going to impact the world. I'm going to mute this for a second because of my dog. She's putting them away. The vision that God gave me for Girl Power Alliance was that we are building an army of women around the world who are going to be the catalyst for a global revival. And I believe, like within that, it stems from their ability to be leaders. And
Yes.
so I just want to bless you and pray like crazy amounts of supernatural discernment and revelation knowledge over you as you embark on that, because what you are doing is needed desperately on the earth.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Because, sometimes you fight against it
Yep.
because it's outside of what
Yep.
I think I should be doing, outside of all of these things and lists that I build on the walls. And this is how I should show up. And it's like, oh, she's so cute. Bless her heart. Because that's not it. But I
Well,
respect
I
that.
think that it's a weighty call. Like it's heavy. It's a lot. And it feels important, and it's so important. And so I just, like, as you speak and as you were saying it, I just felt the anointing on you. And so you just do it.
Thank you. And
You were made for it.
oh, thank you for saying that. And in this time, we get so caught up in this conversation around diversity and inclusion, and they're missing that part, and they're compartmentalizing this from something separate from leadership.
Yes.
And it's the same, it's the conversation of leadership, because if you're leading from a place of love, if you're leading from a place of power, if you're learning the skills and the struggles that you've been through and the wins that you've had, and you're using that as the skill of being adaptable, then you know how to talk to people, you know how to love people, and you know how to lead, and you know how to follow, and you know how to use that peer leadership that we have. And people are trying to dissect this conversation into
Yes.
something different, and it's all about leadership and caring for one another. And if you can start that at home, then my God, you can do that anywhere.
You're going to change the world. And you're exactly right. And I think that's part of the enemy's plan, right? He takes the main thing and he splits it down into these other things, and then people get stuck on the one thing over here. And it's like a lower conversation. It's like you're missing the point. You're looking at all this stuff, but none of this is the point. The point is this. This is the point.
Yes.
And so we have to, as leaders, we have to bring the conversation back up to the point.
Yes.
Like, it's not, I mean, it's a wild political climate, that there's very polarizing conversations. People are very passionate on whatever side they're speaking on. Not that they shouldn't be, not that social justice should not be discussed, not that any of the things shouldn't be discussed, but I feel like, exactly like you said, we're missing what we should be talking about, because these are symptoms, and we're not going to the heart of the problem.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. They'll be like, break it down. And it's not about that. If we're talking about leadership and what leadership truly is, it just really turns into, how do we further, not just bring God further, but we move humanity forward, toward God, and just using that as the magnet that pulls us higher. And we just want to mess around down here and be distracted. And that's not what it's about.
No. And so what you're doing is so important. And the enemy will tell you a million times that you're not supposed to be doing it. And you just stand and know that you are supposed to be doing it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I didn't know that I was. Thank you. Thank you so much for saying that.
I'm so excited for you. I'm excited to see what you're doing. I'm excited to watch your impact in the world. How can the people that are listening today, if you're listening on the podcast, don't worry, everything that she's about to tell you we'll have in the show notes. And if you're watching this, all of her information will be below. But how can people find you and connect with you?
I am easy to get at. You can follow me on my webpage is transition365.com. I love that name. It's because every day we have an opportunity to transition and be more, do more, have more. They can easily find me there. You can find me #transition365. I'm not hard to, I don't want to give you too many options, because I just want you to find me.
Okay. Well, we will make sure that we not only include her website, but we'll also include your social media handles, so that people can connect with you and find you, reach out to you, and just like get under the piñata of all that you're giving away.
Get this, because the sweetness and the leadership and the adaptability is coming out.
Right. That's right. Thank you so much for taking the time today, and just appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for doing this podcast. Thank you for blessing. Just thank you for being you. Thank you.
Thank you.